Night Terrors Batman issue 1, Joshua Williamson writing with Gilliam March on art. So here's the thing. The end of First Blood kind of implied some of where we were going with this. In this issue, it has a little thing in the past where Batman was trying to condition himself to get over his fears by getting into a tank and just being like plagued by nightmares for 24 hours.
Which like it was again, sensory deprivation and stuff being what it is. However, it reeks of because Batman. I did love that Alfred's kind of like, I don't think this is the best course of action, Master Bruce. And
of course he's right, yeah. But then we cut ahead to the nightmare that we left off in First Blood. So he's young Bruce Wayne. He's still talking like, old Bruce. He's still saying, hey, I'm in a nightmare. I have to get out of here. And all the rest of it. So in the first part, when he's in the deprivation tank and we get some like sort of quick little panels and I saw the pearls falling and stuff, I was like rolling my eyes. I'm like, okay, it's a little montage, whatever, right? When it gets to the main nightmare part, when I turned the page and I saw the nightmare turn into giant pearls like coming down at Bruce and he has to start running and dodging out the way of these giant pearls dropping, I started pissing myself laughing. I could not think this was funnier.
I'm glad you thought it was funny because it made me angry, and then now I'm convinced that Williamson listens to us because he's like, what can we do that's gonna piss Matt off?
Well, that's why
pearls.
That's why I thought it was funny though, because we always talk about never want to see the pearls fall again, and all I could think was this panel even of him looking up at all these pearls coming down at him. This is what it feels like whenever I'm reading one of those pages. Is I feels like I can't dodge the goddamn pearls.
Yep.
So I laughed hysterically. It's not even maybe the funniest thing in this issue. But
no. And I was tipped off to that by one of the guys that works at my shop, who's a big Batman fan. He's like, well, I finally have seen the worst Batman thing I ever have. And yeah. But I believe you're talking about the demon thing that comes out.
Well, yeah, skip ahead a little bit. We'll go through in order. So after he judges the pearls, he runs into the theater that he was in with his parents, and then on the screen he sees some of the real world. So he sees that Boston's in his body, and he thinks it's Dead Man's fault that he can't like wake up because Boston, you've taken my body, so now I can't wake up. Which I don't think's true. I think that's just Bruce trying to reason with himself.
Because Bruce always has to have control, so he's gonna blame. Yeah.
Boston's trying to save the day, and Bruce is out of his depth a little bit, but he ends up seeing a bunch of gravestones for everyone that he cares about, typical nightmare stuff. And then Insomnia shows up dressed as a Robin, although he's got an I instead of an R, right?
Yeah,
and
Insomnia,
and he's got purple hair, so he's going for kind of a almost Joker-y sort of color scheme here. And it's during this scene when he starts raising all of like Bruce's loved ones, including Martha Wayne, who's wearing pearls again. There's so many pearls in this issue, Matt. So many pearls. Too many pearls. And then there's a dead Selena talking to him. So everyone he cares about is dead. And then young Bruce throws up something huge. It turns out to be a giant bat creature, but when the bat is all curled up, and when it unravels and the wings come out, it's a giant bat, but its head is a gun. And at this point, we're just doing straight up... Like, I don't even want to disrespect David Lynch by saying this is David Lynch, because it's not.
No.
But...
No, because David Lynch, there would be a reason for the gun bat it's not just a bat with a gun on its head, because Batman hates guns, but loves bats. Like, it's just... Yeah... It isn't Lynchian because I don't think David Lynch would even try anything like that. It would be like a deformed bat, like.
Well, like, I think there's a way to present just about any idea, but I don't think that I was getting like the right sense of like ethereal quality from this that I needed to like the state I need to be in to appreciate something this ridiculous as a concept. It just kind of comes out of nowhere, and then it sort of shifts into the next part of the nightmare eventually, where Bruce is actually in Joe Chill's body, and he can't stop himself from shooting his own parents. Which, once again, can I point out, Martha Wayne's on that page, in the final page of this issue, and there she is again, wearing the goddamn pearls.
Yep. Which I do like that turn, because that is a nightmare like that Bruce is going through, that now, because he feels so responsible for walking through Crime Alley, that he's now in the role now in the role of Joe Chill. That was a tongue twister.
Obviously, yeah, it means he blames himself. He sees himself as responsible for doing it. So now he's actually imagining himself being the one who pulled the trigger.
Yeah. And so I don't hate that as a nightmare for Bruce, but yeah, again, like you said, just don't tell that story then. Like, this is worn hallowed ground that I don't need to be in Crime Alley ever again.
That's the thing. Like, the entire concept means you have to do this with Bruce, because otherwise there's nothing else to do with him. But it's just frustrating. Honestly, I just can't get over the count of perils. I'm not going to do it, but this might have the highest peril count. If you count every individual peril in this issue, it may be the highest of any Batman comic that's ever been published. I shit you not.
And again, I feel like Williamson has to be taking the piss out of us. Because these, it's not just us either, right? When I say us, I mean the fans, not just our show. Like, the number of people that I run into online that are also tired of this stuff,
I want someone to work out the average PPP of this issue, and that's it. Perils per page. Right?
Triple P.
Right? Yeah. Because I guarantee you the average on this issue is through the roof.
Yeah, and just the bat with a gun for a head. That's something like a kindergartner draws. I don't
know about that, but it's definitely... Do you know the problem with it is? It's trying to go for... It's trying to go for Cronenberg, right?
Yeah.
I brought up David Lynch, but the director I should have brought up was Cronenberg.
It's Cronenberg, I didn't want to correct you.
It's trying to go for a Videodrome body horror style thing. And it works in the context of Cronenberg's stories. I think the problem here is that up until this point in the issue, like, okay, we got the giant pearls, but it kind of feels... I don't know... I guess it all feels a bit trite. I guess that's my complaint, is that I'm just kind of cynical about like the writing of this issue, so that when that comes, it's just kind of tipping me over the edge into more hilarity. So I will say this: I was constantly laughing at this issue.
Yes,
that's something. There was entertainment to be had, but not for the right reasons, I would say.
No, and when my comic book guy tipped me off, he goes, "There's a bat with a gun for a head," and that's what made me. I was like. Well, in Detective, you have Barbados, but he doesn't have a gun for his head. Like, there's a bat team in.
It feels. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like. I'm going to steal a line from Tara and the Aesir, but it feels like Baby's first psychological deconstruction, where like I can see what Williams is trying to poke at and what he wants to do with this, but it doesn't feel like someone who has any experience of actually doing like an off-kilter psychological story where the rules of reality don't quite apply, and the results all feel a little bit kind of like, this is what an edgy teenager would think would be a cool like visual to like show what Bruce feels or something. I don't know. It all just feels a bit lame. Is it the best word?
Yeah, you're right. It's the, oh my god, this is so edgy. And it's like, like him showing up with the like, I get the Robin again. There's a lot of iconography that makes sense for Batman's nightmares, right? He lost Jason. He's lost other Robins. Like, so that's why is the Stephanie Brown stuff still canon at this point? Was she Robin?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably, just because everything seems to be canon from that era now.
Okay. So, I mean, at that point, then if Damien's still, if his death is still, in play, he's lost a couple Robins. So I get, like, Insomnia appearing as, Bruce's biggest failure. And then, of course, Bruce worrying about losing the rest of his family, like he lost his parents.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was this or if it was the First Blood issue, but in one of them he says, what if I kill all your Robins so I can be your new psychic? Which, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. So, enough. But yeah, but like I get that iconography at play here for Bruce's, id, or I don't know the brain states or the personality stuff like and all that, but his deepest, darkest fear is losing those that he holds close. So all of that stuff in the graveyard I thought was really well done too. Even with the bat and cat stuff when Selena shows up too, it's just but then it gets straight up silly with the gigantic pearls and Batgun. We gotta come up with a name with this thing now. Like, I'm trying to think of what we could call this thing.
Batretta?
That's not bad. That's not bad. The Batretta?
I don't know. Was that a back Glock or something?
Yeah. Back Glock.
It's
but yeah, so
I'll say this, right? Any idea, even though here it feels really stupid and we're making fun of it, I don't doubt that there's some writers and artists who can make this concept work. There is the right approach to just about any idea. And I think one of the things that is becoming more clear the longer I've read comics and the longer I've read specifically Batman and Superman and these characters that have been around for so goddamn long is that there are just certain things that it's been done to death enough that unless you are just like making something exceptional that is so well told in its craft that I'm going to not care because it's just so engrossing, a lot of things are just going to immediately turn me off. And one of them is we're doing Bruce dreaming he's in the alleyway, the pearls falling, and all that nonsense. Yeah. Even like you go back and play Batman Arkham Asylum and the Scarecrow grass hits you, you turn into little Bruce Wayne and you're walking down the alleyway and you hear the gunshot. And it's fine, I get why that's the choice, but that was 14 years ago now, and I feel like I've seen variations of that idea done so many times at this point that unless you are doing something special, kind of like how we're talking about how how Tom King's doing the first Batman Joker interaction. Yeah. The craft is just so good that there's the question of being sick of the Joker doesn't even come into it because everything's just so well done. It doesn't matter. But here the storytelling itself is just very typical comic booky, so I need kind of better or newer ideas, or at least ideas that I'm not so sick of anyway.
But here's the thing, this was so silly and stupid. I need to see where it goes. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, they don't get fooled again, right? I'm walking right into this, but I need to know where this is going for part 2 now. So it's easy to say, I'll see where it goes when there's only one more issue technically of this. Yeah. It's only a 2-parter, so. This was if this is a 5-issue miniseries, I'm going, no. But for another issue, why not? I'm not reading Batman regular right now either, so I have a space for this.
Okay, because it's not on for 2 months. That's just
that's
what
I mean. So because it wasn't that bad where it was like, ugh. It was like, what the hell am I reading?
It was at least crazy enough that I got some entertainment out of it, but it's not for the right reasons per se. No. There's a backup as well, actually, because Batman usually has a backup. Batman Night Terrors also has a backup. It's basically Damian. He got a hint of Night Terrors coming from before, and he's went looking to this Master of Sleeping Dreams to try and see what the threat is. And this guy's like, you're just as annoying as your grandfather, because he's Ra's al Ghul tried to conquer all these things and he couldn't quite do it. But Damien straight up opens a scroll that looks like it's ancient, but it clearly has Insomnia holding Deadman by the neck. So that seemingly will be a tease for where we're going later.
Ra's, right? That's Ra's with him too.
Is
opposite.
It?
Yeah, it looks like it, right?
No, that's Insomnia.
That's Insomnia? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, that's what he looks like in there. He's got the darkness around his eyes and his hair's sort of slicked back. Yeah, that's Insomnia for sure.
Gotcha.
Now, who the skeleton is in the middle, if anyone's specific, I'm not sure, but yeah. And this is right when Batman's call went out about all the Night Terror stuff happening in First Blood, so we hear that from Damien's perspective, and then he falls asleep, or well,
because the guy flips over this the hourglass, right?
Yeah.
To learn how to do so. There's also the hourglass in that thing. So time is of the essence here for Damien to figure this out. But no, so I think that skull is meant to be the Nightmare Stone.
Okay, that makes sense. But then Damien seemingly gets back up and says that he's worked so he can stay awake, and he remembers his nightmare. So Like, I can almost see there been a twist in this backup that he's not really awake, he just thinks he is.
Yeah.
But that seems to at least be what he thinks right now. So,
Yeah.
and maybe he is. But this is only a backup in a 2-part story, so,
Right.
you know, it's not... I mean, that said, though, it does say to be continued in Night Terrors 3, which is a really weird thing to read when issue 1's not even out.
Yep.
But I guess that's where Damien's going to come swooping
Pop in. Yeah. And this was a continuation of the Free Comic Book Day story, which I barely remembered.
Oh, yeah, that's where the Nightmares tease came from, yeah.
Yep. So, but it was interesting. I mean, I like when Williamson writes Damien. But yeah, so I feel like there wasn't much to go off of, though. Just that the appearance of the scroll, you know, that's the big thing here.
The scroll and just the idea that Damien's kind of like being proactive, and that's basically it. The art's very cartoony. It kind of fits Damien and his usefulness. The art's by... Because this is still Williamson writing this back up. The art's by David Lafiente, so...
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. That's Night Terror's Batman. What are you rating it, Matt?
This is a 5.5.
Yeah, I don't know what to rate this. Because all of the fun I had was because of how laughably stupid it was. And it was Gillen Mark. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go like a 4. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to think about the art again.